Well, thank you, guys. Thank you so much. We're actually almost over with the sustainability block here, but before we go into a small break, one of the last firesides that we're gonna have is with a guy named Sauli. He comes all the way from Finland, which is like 1 hour flight, and I'll be moderating him myself. And we're gonna talk one of the biggest issues we're currently up against, and it's food waste. Because all of you guys, and myself including, we're such a wasters nation, and it just has to end at some point. So let's give a warm welcome for Sauli from ResQ Club here. Thanks for joining us, Sauli. How do you feel?
Very good. To be honest, this is the first time here in Riga, in Latvia, and the past 24 hours have been well, very exciting. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. What was this? Did you go out last night?
Yeah, someone might call that going out. Yeah.
Okay, great.
That happened.
So, Sauli, tell me about yourself. Why are you here? How have you gotten to the place where you are right now, and how it has led you to the ResQ Club?
Okay, I try to keep this short. I guess on a professional level, I started from management consulting, focused on transfer pricing. Very sexy topic. And after a while doing that, I just didn't feel that the work was meaningful for me. So after that, I did a sort of 180, moved from Helsinki to Dublin, and started working for Google. It was a very exciting time. And during that time, I sort of started seeing these very inspirational individuals around me. And back then, we started cooking this idea with a few friends of mine from Finland. We called it Tinder for on-demand workforce.
Okay, interesting.
So that's when I took my first steps as an entrepreneur. What we wanted to do is build a platform or marketplace that matches supply and demand in regard to on-demand and temporary workforce in a very convenient way. And I guess this is one of those stories when where the idea was good, it's still good, but the group of people that started working on it were the wrong ones. So during that journey, we sort of saw that we fell in love more in the idea of entrepreneurship than the problem that we were actually trying to resolve. And the outcome was that the company went bankrupt, or not bankrupt, the investor bought us out with a very next to nothing price. We were just short on energy, money, and aspiration.
Yep.
But it was a very good journey, and that's when I started seeing the potential in regard to, let's put it this way, online marketplaces and network effects to actually create something meaningful and scale and do something good for the planet. So after that, I took that aspiration to actually understand and build that understanding to how to create and build a marketplace and actually go through it.
Deliver it to the people and to the communities out there.
Yeah, exactly. And that's when I went to this already established company that was doing these or issuing these plastic student cards and negotiating student discounts. And my job was there to reinvent or resurrect their business and reinvent their business model and the product. And long story short, we built a team that developed this first digital student card. And we launched it in Finland. And it was very, very good, and the first time sort of something successful project. And we had big ideas and big aspiration. We wanted to isolate the tech part of it, integrate it to blockchain, and go abroad. But the shareholders and the board back then of that company felt that you know, guys, this is a bit too risky. Risky move. Let's just stay in.
They killed
Finland.
it.
They didn't kill the product, but I guess they killed our aspiration in regard to that product and the idea. And that's when I.
And that's when you realized that you should be doing something else, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So the ResQ Club.
Yeah, exactly.
Comes in at this chapter of your life.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is ResQ Club? What do you guys do? What is the problem and what is the solution?
What ResQ Club is, we're a company that wants to create zero food waste communities. We can tap into the problem, for example, first. I think it's common knowledge that roughly 30% or 1/3 of food produced globally ends up in the bin at one point of the chain. And that 30% contributes to roughly 8% of global greenhouse gas emissions.
Can you imagine? Did you guys hear it? It's crazy. It shivers me.
Yeah, it's a huge component, in this juggernaut called climate change, and definitely reduction of food or cutting food waste down. For example, set by Drawdown, which is a very cool project. You should check their website.
Drawdown.
Drawdown.org. They list 100 solutions that can change the climate change very radically within the next 30 years. But anyway, what they say is that cutting food waste is definitely one of the greatest possibilities for individuals, companies, and communities to not cut the climate change in total, but actually slow it down in a very, very dramatically.
Yeah, well, it's only one of those. In the United Nations, they have sustainability goals, and I think it's 17 now.
Yeah.
And food waste is one of the top 4 priorities, that's for sure. And it's just, you know, the one thing that sums it up. And that's why it's so important. That's why Sauli is here, and they're trying to tackle it and trying to create a tool that everyone would be able to contribute to some extent, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, food chain is very massive, and we felt that we needed to narrow the scope a bit, so we started, you know, our journey from the very end of the supply chain. So when everything has in a way gone wrong and you have that excess food, and so instead of throwing that food to the bin, let's do something else. So what ResQ is, we're hyperlocal and time-sensitive online marketplace for surplus food. So restaurants, cafes, and grocery stores, instead of throwing that excess food into a bin, they can actually sell it through our platform to nearby users. And as a user, you get to actually purchase quality food with a very heavy discount. And while doing that, you actually do something good for the planet. So in a way, our epicenter and why we exist comes from sustainability very much.
So long story short, we have Volt here. So everyone knows Volt. Volt is operating in the Nordics. Volt is operating in the Baltic. So imagine using Volt, but instead of using Volt, using ResQ Club, right? So it's basically the same thing, but you change the world. You help to get moving ahead of us, right?
Yeah, the analogy is the same as in Volt. In our case, we don't have food delivery, so it's a takeaway concept. But
okay.
Apart from that, the idea is the same. You purchase the food through the app and pick it up from the venue.
But I guess to some extent, maybe with like electrical vehicles, you could also do the delivery part, right?
Yeah, we have a bunch of very cool stuff in the backlog at the moment, but...
So let's talk product now. So how big is the team and what do you guys are up against? Where do you live these days? How big is the market that you are tackling? Where you're going next?
Yeah, the company is now 3 years old. I guess the narrative of the company is in a way this basic entrepreneurial story that we've had some few hiccups on the way. So when the company started back in 2016, the product market fit was sort of discovered very quickly in Finland, and then sort of the growth model or the idea of growth was just like, this is a very good product. Let's just push it as far as possible, and let's just find local agents across the globe and give them the product, and magic will happen.
Seems like an easy thing to scale, right? At first.
Yeah. So the company, ResQ, expanded to Malaysia, Canada, Netherlands, Estonia, Sweden, Germany, and so on. But
there's always a but.
Yeah. Every good narrative has a but.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the but, was that the growth model and the operational model were not synced. So the company didn't grow. Only thing that grew was cost structure and the headcount.
Yeah.
So I think we were almost 50 people at one point, and there was next to nothing growth, and it was a very messy environment back then. So we did.
So what did you do? How did you deal with it?
I would say that we injected focus in the company, and we saw that we had to actually rebuild the company from scratch. That
was the moment when you came on board, right?
Yeah, so I'm not the founder of ResQ. I joined the company in 2017 in the beginning. So I took the helm when things were not that good. Let's put it this way.
It's an actual point, because yesterday we were having a talk with Christelle, the founder and CEO of Tesla, and she was giving the talk of how CEOs should transition themselves from the spot and how to deal with it. And this is the actual case where you guys needed to grow into a different direction, and the old CEO was just not seeing the same vision, you know?
Yeah, not blaming anyone. I think it was sort of a joint mistake in a way, and when I took the helm, it was clear for everyone, shareholders including, that we didn't need to do a complete renovation in the company, and that the outcome was that we had to shut down multiple markets and really focus on those markets where we knew that we had a somewhat idea how to actually grow. So the company headcount came down 70%, and cost structure was down 50%. And we were given this great opportunity at the same time that we were forced to actually figure out how to grow without next to nothing money. And the outcome was that we actually started seeing things that we didn't see before. We started investing more time on actually understanding the customer. Customer empathy, for example, was one of the core values that we injected in the company, and I guess we started seeing that with the previous model, we saw that we cannot, even in the long run, actually resolve this global problem. Or we could resolve it, but it's not fast, and it's not scalable. So now with 15, 16 people that we have actually managed to double the revenue during last year, and you're
approaching break even, right?
Yeah.
Did I hear it right?
Yeah, next
well, that's
month.
A massive thing for a startup. Congratulations.
Yeah, but not happened yet.
Okay. Yeah.
So
first you have to come to Baltics. And speaking of which.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but we see nowadays that what is in a way lacking from our space is narratives. And what is lacking in our space is empowering the individuals and empowering the community of users and community of partners. And those were the core drivers that we took as a hypothesis, that if we give more power to our users and let them actually drive the change and the movement in their localities, and we just, in a way, give them convenient tool to do it and help them with the narrative, let's see what happens. And now we have
you give them the responsibility to act on their own and create their own communities of solvers, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's in a way part of the narrative at the moment, that we see that we cannot be the ones that actually drive the change, especially thinking this massive problem of food waste globally. So we cannot be the ones that decide the pace of the movement, but we need to just...
Well, you're the ones who are giving the tool, and it's our responsibility to keep on raising the awareness and, you know, telling to friends and friends of friends and so on. So we're the ones who are spreading the word about that kind of solutions afterwards. Okay, we have a couple of questions coming in from the audience here. What are your thoughts on the community fridges?
Community?
Yeah, I think that the guy or girl who was coming up with this question meant that maybe like some co-living community fridges as a thing for, let's say, housings. Do you have an opinion on that?
I think I need some help with, again, rephrasing the question a bit for me to actually understand or get the bottom of it.
Yeah. Well, community fridges for people who live together share a community fridge. I think that's the main idea.
I see that, in a way, very much in the core of our strategy, for example. I think, from my opinion, the strongest factors to actually create change or create movement and foster different kind of behavior, narrative, that's one thing, and then network effects. So if you have those two things, and a convenient and a good solution, I think that the outcome is something that might make a difference. And in regard to this question, we are now especially trying to find those smaller groups in our network and try to actually strengthen the nodes between those individuals. And this is one example of that. There's a small group that is very connected to each other, and we just want to sort of tap into those connections in that small group, because if we can provide some incentives for them to actually...
it's about empowering the behavior shift, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Another question. So how do you think governments can help accelerate the transition to low-waste communities? How can governments help? Are they helping?
I definitely see that everyone is moving to the same direction, so it's definitely a joint effort. How I see that the government should act is just cut down all the thresholds for solutions, for example, just like ours, to actually foster in that given environment, food regulation and whatnot. So instead of acting as a sort of an enemy, I would just suggest that let's collaborate and sort of find a common solution. For example, how to sort of, for example, keep the food safety regulations topical, but still sort of foster change as well. We have many initiatives, for example, in Finland at the moment, and I see that everyone is talking with the same mouth, more or less. So, and especially in the Nordics, and based on this quick visit here, I see the similar kind of trend here as well. But I've just scratched the surface here in Latvia, of course. But
yeah, but you have plans, right? So
yes.
As our time is up, what would be the one thing you want to share with the audience to share further?
Yeah, so we're definitely interested in this market, and we're now doing the preliminary market research. So as an individual or as a partner, if you're interested in actually chatting more and hearing what our ideas are, that would be more than welcome to actually create those connections here and actually bring our solutions at your hands as well here in Latvia.
Great, I can't wait for that to happen, seriously.
Me neither.
Thank you so much, Sauli.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for listening.